Most writers that came into the show did not understand the difference between The Outer Limits and Twilight Zone, and they were constantly pitching Twilight Zone stories to us. And there really is quite a difference between the two, and it's a tonal thing that's very hard to communicate. One difference is that The Outer Limits is science fiction. It's not fantasy. You know, we don't have 5 people, you know, that turn out to be toys in a box. That's not science fiction, that's a fantasy. So everything needs to be something based on science that could possibly happen, you know, tomorrow or 100 years from now.
We wanted to do just a straightforward, scary, Fatal Attraction-like show, which this obviously is. And again, a lot of the things we were experimenting with first season was finding established forms like a Fatal Attraction thriller, sexy, you know, love triangle type story. Many other types of forms, a Western. There were things that we were trying to do and then apply them to science fiction because we really wanted to explore the various ways that you can look at science fiction and other forms through the filter of science fiction.
It's supposed to be a story about a robot who appears to be a real woman. So how do you sell to an audience that she's really a robot when she's supposed to be such a good robot that she looks like a real woman? So we decided, and then the cliche in older television would be you open a little trap door in her head and there's some circuits in there and it's obviously kind of raised out from her head. We said we're not going to do that, we're going to do it better than that. So we came up with the idea of opening the back of her head. And even that I was afraid was going to look like that trap door thing. So the visual effects guy, John Gadecki, and I sat down and he said, well, we could do this motion control. It's never been done before, but we can do it. And I said, John, can we do it? Are you sure this will really work? And it was a big gamble. It took half a day to shoot it. And on a 7-day shooting schedule, half a day is pretty valuable just to shoot one shot. But we did it, and I think it sells, it's right off the beginning of the show, it sells that she's actually a robot, and the rest of the show you believe it. And you know, the actress was very good at playing a robot, so that helped also. She sold it, I think.
The visual effects on Valerie 23 were a great combination of taking filmic techniques that we had used with like motion control and applying them to television format. And that a lot of times you just don't have the time or money for that. And John Gadecki was the supervisor for that episode. His big argument on designing the effect was that the head would have been more dramatic if it becomes concave and you go into the head while there's a face there, not just sort of add an appliance and take away kind of thing. So with the motion control and putting her head in a brace, you could do one pass with a dummy head, really do the dipstick thing, because that's what the gag is. You know, you go right into with this sort of thing that reads out what's going on, and there's a screwdriver and all that, and then when you composite and do the split screen with the motion control, the second pass of the live action, you get freaked out because there she is talking away and she looks very real, and it all works. It's effective. I know that if you watch her ear, there's a little bit of bobbling on her ear that they never quite got out. It was kind of down to the wire, and they did the best they could. But still, it was a pretty breakthrough for them and for television.
When I was a kid, I used to eat science fiction. I used to love that stuff and ate as many books as I could get my hands on. It was a story I'd never seen before, and it was so simple. It was a man who was incapable of movement, and someone had built a robotic companion for him. And what did that mean? Because in order to understand what humanness was, one would not be able to create a robot companion unless that companion could relate to us through our own needs and knowledge base. And so the story actually extended itself all the way through into actually being a companion to have sex with, which was a novel and very innovative idea, and something that no television channel other than Showtime, who had taken off the limits, who had said, no, your stories can go wherever they need to go. We were able to do something with nudity, but with a profound purpose.
Actually, one of our only full frontal shots of a woman in our show, and that caused a certain amount of debate and discussion. Again, it was our first season. We wanted to push the envelope in terms of Showtime. We didn't want it to be gratuitous. We wanted to do something that we never wanted our sex or violence or language to be gratuitous on this show. But on the other hand, we didn't want to be limited by it. As it served the story, we wanted to use it. So I think that it did serve the story. It was a really interesting shot, and it kind of became one of the jokes for us is I think she says something like, I'm fully functional or something. And it's like, it kind of became a little of the inhumor in on that series. But it was a good show at the end of the day.